Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jennifer and I'm HIV positive. This channel is about my life living with HIV. I was diagnosed in 2016. If you want to know more about my story, look down in the description. I always put links to all my stories. I have 3 videos that explain my symptoms and the journey and how it all happened and who I got it from and how I didn't transmit it and all that good stuff. So check those out if you want. Also in the description is a link to support my channel and the advocacy that I do. If you would like to do that, I would appreciate any help. And so on with the news. First of all, I got this great link and I wanted to make sure that everybody knew about it. www.hivtravel.org. It's a global database on HIV-specific travel and resident restrictions. So if you're looking to travel and you're a person living with HIV and you're concerned about where you're traveling, or you're looking to move to another country due to work or whatever it may be, plug in your information into this website and you can find out if there's any restrictions. The US does not have any. Obama lifted that ban, I believe, in 2012 for the US, so there's no ban to come into the US. I wanted to make sure that everybody knew about that. It's a great website. Secondly, I was on Twitter. I'm not a big Twitter person, but and I see stuff on, basically my whole Twitter is all about HIV because that's who I'm connected to on Twitter, but something caught my eye and I wanted to make sure that I shared this with all of you. So Matthew Hodson, he's the executive director of AIDSmap in the UK. And I believe that website's been around since '87. I think that's what I saw. Here's Matthew. There's Matthew. Follow him on Twitter. So I see this tweet that he put up and it absolutely blew my mind. I had no idea that this was what was going on in the UK. So in the UK, 92% of people with HIV have been diagnosed. 92%. That's amazing. There we go, 92%. I believe in the US, 1 out of every 7 people that have HIV don't know they have it. So back to the United Kingdom. 98% of those diagnosed are on treatment. 97% of those on treatment are now undetectable, which means we cannot pass it on. The UK, I say we because it says we because he wrote this, we are world leaders in this. There's no other country that has such a close on the HIV epidemic. They literally are closing in on it. USA, you need to get on board. The word is that by next year, they will have this 100% under control. That's what I heard, and I think that's unreal. I got this message today, and I just put out a video last week about HIV anxiety. So this is just still running along that same vein because I put that video out and I got so many comments after that. And there's so many people suffering from HIV anxiety and feeling that they have it even though they're testing negative. So this is one message that I just wanted to share, just so you all know if you're one of these people, you're not alone. I see this all the time. He says, I had sex with an unknown woman 1 year ago. Okay, I just, right there, unknown woman. So he doesn't even know if she has HIV. The chances of her having HIV, first of all, are very low. But anyways, the condom was broken and his penis was wounded. I don't know how that happened, but okay. I have had HIV tests after this exposure, 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, 9 months. Did the P24 antigen antibody test, all of them negative. 10 months, the Western blot test report is negative. That's where they actually are testing for a viral load and there's nothing there. But symptoms are present. He says he has a mouth ulcer, last 6 months, white tongue, sore throat, pharyngitis, skin rash, muscle aches, penis infection, joint pain, loss of appetite. And he says, please help me. And I just said simply, you don't have HIV, your testing is conclusive, and your symptoms are probably from stress and maybe something else. I mean, obviously needs to be looked into. It's not HIV. These tests are conclusive at 3 months. Doctors will probably have you test again 3 months later, but I've said this many times that when you test at 2 weeks and you're negative, the chances of you being positive at 12 weeks aren't that high. It can happen. You can show up like a week after that 2-week period, but the chances of you turning into a positive after a 2-week negative after the exposure isn't really high. So if you're negative at 12 weeks, that's conclusive. You're negative. Okay, but people drive themselves crazy and continue to think that somehow it's affecting them and it's just not showing up in a test. I just want people to know that they're not alone with this concern of having negative tests and some symptoms that seem like HIV, although you have to know that HIV symptoms are so similar to so many other things. You're not alone. You're not alone. And I think a lot of people have guilt about having sex with sex workers or having sex with, out of their relationship, cheating on somebody, and they feel that they deserve HIV as a result of their guilt. And that's just not how biology works. Biology doesn't care about morals. So you can't think that you're going to get HIV just because of something that you feel you did wrong. It's not a reason that you're this 1% or you're certain you have it because you know that you kind of deserve it. Whatever that means, because nobody deserves it. All right, so I have this message from Anthony, and he says, today I came in to get treated for an STD. I'm also taking my first HIV test. I know my results will be available in about a week, and I'm scared. I was afraid of the outcome of what an HIV test would be. I stay awake every night not knowing, so part of me is content with whatever the outcome is. I'm just anxious and nervous. I'm not super sexually active, but I guess even with one partner, you should be tested. Can you just give me some encouragement? This next week is going to drive me crazy. Okay, and another thing I wanted to mention is that people that get treated for an STI and it's positive, although having another STI increases your chances of contracting HIV, it doesn't mean that you're going to have HIV. So just know that. It can increase the risk, but the other person has to have it for one thing, and it has to be untreated, and a lot of things have to go right for it to happen, okay? It's kind of a perfect storm, and that just doesn't happen all the time. So I asked him, do you sleep with men or women, just because I'm trying to determine your risk? And he says, I sleep with men. And then I ask, of course, are you the bottom or are you the top? Are you the receiver or are you the inserter? And he says, honestly, I mostly do oral if I'm with a guy. And just so everybody knows, I get this question constantly about oral. And if there's any risk of being the receiver of oral sex, the risk is considered incredibly rare. So a lot of things, of course, have to be I still just don't think it happens, but I guess it's possible if you had a big gaping, bleeding hole in your mouth. There has to be an open mucous membrane, and your mouth in itself is not an open mucous membrane. There has to be a break somewhere, and the person has to have HIV and a high viral load. And just know that HIV is a very weak virus, and the second it hits like your saliva and your digestive tract, it's done. So it's not truly how it's transmitted. But they do say it's possible, but it's considered very rare. So anyways, he says, I don't like sex. Of course, there are times I've done it, but I usually back out. I just don't enjoy it. If I do end up on the bottom, I never have them finish in me. I know that I'm still at risk, of course. If I'm messing around, it's mostly oral, but there have been times I haven't used protection. The few times I did, I was the bottom. And he says, so the last time I was the giver, the inserter, he says, he's the one who gave me the STI. I got treated for it. I'm just waiting this week out. I don't want to get the call. It's going to be a long week. And I said, I told him about oral. It's, little to no risk. And of course, if you're at the top, you're at less risk than if you're at the bottom. And I just, again, reiterated, and just because he has an STI doesn't mean that he has HIV. And odds are definitely in your favor to be negative. And so he says, something is just giving me this weird sign. So everybody thinks that everybody thinks that they are, I don't want to be mean, but everybody thinks they're a special snowflake, and they've got this weird sign. No offense to anybody, but everybody thinks they're the chosen one. Anyways, he says, I'm 25 and this is my first time being tested for HIV. I've been sexual for a while. It would just seem too good to be true. that he's negative. But like I said, I don't like intercourse super often, which gives me hope because it could be much worse. I don't know. I guess we'll just wait and see. Thanks for listening and giving feedback. There's no one else I have the courage to talk to about this. If you don't mind, I'm going to message you again when and if I get the call. I'm going into this telling myself there is a good risk I could have it, just so I don't collapse if I do. But if I do, I'm going to make the best of it. You're really inspiring. Thank you. So I say, just so you know, your weird sign is pure paranoia. Everyone thinks they have this feeling. It's good to be prepared, but don't make yourself sick. For one thing, do you see how it's affected me? Look at me, look at me. Not that I want anyone to have HIV, but of course it's a double-edged sword. If you do end up with HIV, then you can see, by seeing me, you can live a normal life. And then I told him that HIV is considered a rare condition in the US. If you look it up, HIV in the US, it's considered rare. It's not common. He says, I'm just going to make the best of whatever the outcome is. So thank you so much. You rock. So I get a message from him yesterday and he says, I'm negative. This is the first day for about 10 years that I can be myself again. This is the first time in 10 years that I'm waking up and HIV isn't the first thing I think about. I didn't see myself living past 30 because I was too afraid to test. I'm now going to be doing routine testing and using condoms with every encounter. I want to be an advocate in some way. A lot of people say that, but you don't have to just because you're so relieved. I mean, do it if you want to, but I know a lot of people feel like they want to go into that just because I think there's so much relief. But don't feel any pressure. I know tons of others have been on the same road with me. And he just says, test, 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 lots of exclamation points. Taking the test doesn't change the fact that you have HIV or not. It's already in your body or not, whether you take the test. But taking the test and knowing means you can get treatment and live a normal life. Definitely. And that's what I've been telling myself. Again, I can't thank you enough for inspiring me to get tested. If I didn't watch your videos, I would have never gathered the courage. That's so awesome. God bless you, Jennifer. God bless you, Anthony. And then I sent him a little celebratory message. Yay, Anthony. Okay, so just let this be a lesson to all of you out there who do not want to test because you're so scared of the outcome. You have to understand that it's very uncommon to contract HIV. What happened to me is not common. There's no one else in my life. There's no other women in my life that I can call up and say, you know, hey mom, you know when you got HIV, or, you know, hey, my friend from high school, or no, it's this, what happened to me is rare. I'm like the zebra. So I just looked at the statistics from 2017 of white women in the US who contracted HIV. The number was 999. That's it, 999 in the year 2017. There's 300 million people living in the US. It's under 1%. It's really small. So I'm really thankful to have this platform to talk about it because I know I'm just not that common and it's not easy for people to talk about. So I had all things land in the right way for me to make it possible for me to talk about this, and I'm really thankful for that. And it basically started with all of my support around me. So I'm grateful for that, grateful to have YouTube to talk about it, grateful for all of you out there who want to hear about it and keep supporting me. And yeah. That's all I wanted to say. I just wanted to let you guys know to keep testing and try to listen to these letters and learn from them, really, truly. And believe that if you have these negative tests after 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 10 months, 1 year, you know, please believe the results and know that you're negative. And these are conclusive tests. And these tests are very sensitive. And if you had HIV, it would show up. Oh my gosh, I totally forgot to mention U equals U. I was wearing my shirt and I didn't even say it. Undetectable equals untransmittable. That's what the U and the U stand for. Basically what it means is that if a person living with HIV is taking their medication like they should, as prescribed, they will become undetectable and then they cannot pass on the virus to their sexual partners. So U equals U, undetectable equals untransmittable. Go to www.preventionaccess.org for more information on this topic. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, I'm out of here. All right, have a good one, you guys. Bye.